long perfumed days of the Seraglio, Vlad and Alara lived a hidden dream. Their meetings were like stolen flames from the fire of the gods, forbidden, yet impossible to resist. Among marble columns and gardens scented with jasmine, two young souls discovered their hearts, their steps, and each other's eyes. Vlad, whispered Alara one evening, hidden behind a fountain, the moonlight brushing their faces. "Why do you look at me as if I were your entire universe?" He placed his trembling hand upon her cheek. "Because you are, Alara. You are all I have, all I know. And I am afraid that you'll vanish, that I'll wake, and it will all have been a dream." She smiled softly, her eyes glowing with a strange warmth, as if seeing herself for the first time in a living mirror. "If it is a dream, then let us never wake." They drew close, shy as children discovering fire. Fear and desire burned together within them. When their lips met for the first time, Vlad felt the world stop. Even the stars seemed to lose their light. If someone found out, it would be the end, murmured Alara, her breath trembling. Vlad rested his forehead against hers and smiled, bittersweet but brave. "I do not fear the end. I only fear a life without you." Their days were filled with stolen moments. In the hidden corners of the garden, beneath shadowed arches, beside the clear waters, they whispered stories and dreams. Vlad spoke of the mountains of Wallachia, of forests rising to the sky, of rivers swift and bright, and of villages living beneath the sword of princes. Alara listened with wide, enchanted eyes, as if he were telling a legend from another world. "Vlad, if one day you return there, will you take me with you?" she asked, playing with his fingers. "I would take you anywhere," he said. "If it were up to me, you would be beside me every moment." Sometimes they laughed like children. Other times, they simply gazed at each other, as if trying to carve one another's faces into their souls. Their caresses grew bolder, their kisses longer, their nights filled with whispers and vows. They were young, but their hearts loved with the strength of centuries. Yet their happiness was not meant to last. One gray morning, the courtyard shook with shouts. Alara's father had been accused of treason. A vizier, filled with envy and malice, brought forth false evidence, and no one dared to oppose him. That day, the destiny of a family was shattered. The trial was a farce. Hidden among the servants, Vlad saw the noble man led away in chains. Alara cried out among the crowd, tears streaming down her face. "He is innocent. I swear he is innocent." But her voice drowned in the murmur of the people. The Sultan, seated cold upon his throne, raised his hand. His words fell like a blade. Guilty. The execution took place that very day. The sun set red as blood, and the sword glimmered in its dying light. When her father's head struck the marble floor, a scream tore from Alara's chest, a cry so deep it froze the wind. Vlad felt his heart shatter, but he could do nothing. Within hours, their fortune was seized, their house looted, and Alara and her mother were cast into the streets. From the daughter of a noble man, she became a shadow, wandering through the alleys. Vlad found her after days of searching, in a damp hut beside her sick mother. Her dress was torn, but her green eyes burned brighter than ever. Vlad, they said my father betrayed the Sultan, she whispered, her voice breaking. But he was the most righteous man alive. I know, Ilara, Vlad cried. I know. It's their injustice, not his sin. She hid her face in her hands. They took everything. We have no home, no name. We are nothing. No, said Vlad, tears in his eyes. You are everything. He took from his pocket a silver medallion with the emblem of the dragon. Keep this, if ever you must. Sell it. It will help you survive. Ilara clutched it to her chest. I will never sell it. It's all I have left of you. A slow snow began to fall, covering the mud of the streets. Ilara raised her eyes to him, tears glistening. Vlad, I know that one day you'll leave. You cannot stay here forever. I don't want to leave, he said fiercely. If it were up to me, I'd burn the palace walls just to remain by your side. But it isn't your choice, she whispered, and that breaks me. Vlad held her tight, not knowing these were their final moments together. When he returned to the palace, 2 men awaited him in the courtyard, sent by his father. They did not look like ordinary men, but like angels of darkness, tall, cloaked in black garments that brushed the ground. Their hair seemed to shift color under the faint light. Their eyes had crimson pupils, the whites around them like shards of frozen glass. We have come on behalf of your father, one said, his voice echoing like from another world. My father, what has happened? Asked Vlad. His days are near their end. You must return to Wallachia. At dawn, we await you. And your brother Radu. Vlad thought immediately of Ilara. I must take 2 others with me, he said firmly. The man stepped closer, his voice trembling like thunder. Prince, you cannot bring anyone where you are going. No mortal can survive the vastness of the dragon. Vlad tried to speak, but his body stiffened. The voice continued, calm and solemn. You are not what you believed. You are the prince born to rebuild a lost world. A world that died. You will awaken it and restore it to its ancient glory. Vlad's eyes darkened with the weight of destiny. Then let me at least say goodbye, he whispered. The figure nodded. Outside, the snow fell heavier. Vlad returned to the hut where he had left her. Ilara rose, sensing his presence before seeing him. Without a word, she ran to him. He caught her in his arms. They embraced beneath the snow, their bodies trembling. I swear I will return for you, Vlad whispered in her ear. And when I do, nothing will ever part us again. Their embrace was both an oath and a farewell. Tears mingled with the snowflakes. In the heart of winter, their love was sealed, not with a kiss, but with pain and the curse of destiny. 2 black shadows descended slowly from the sky. When Vlad touched them, the air twisted and the ground trembled softly. Ilara looked up and saw his body rising among the clouds, carried by the unknown power of his blood. A single snowflake rested upon her lashes, and the The echo of his voice resounded through the mountains. Oaths beneath the snow. Not even death shall silence them.